Welcome to the Relationship Goals podcast. It's your boy BJ.
And it's your girl Melly.
And welcome to episode 8.
We just ate at a buffet, and if you guys know Vegas, you know they're popular for their buffets.
Buffets in Vegas is like gambling. Very ubiquitous. Lots of them. Well, till COVID. RIP.
Yeah, COVID closed a lot of buffets down, especially like the casino ones. But this one's new, but it blew up on TikTok. Like it went viral, and all the reservations are all booked out until next year.
And it's because they have all you can eat lobster tails.
Yeah, they have lobster tails, prime rib, beef Wellington, lamb. It's all the fancy stuff.
Beef Wellington. Did you try some of that?
I tried a little bit, but I got so full after the 4 lobster tails that I don't know. I thought I was gonna explode.
What else did you think about the buffet? Did you like the decor or?
Yeah, I really liked it. Like there was like a nice glass window. I mean, we didn't sit by the glass window, but our other friends did. And I really liked the lighting. Everything was like nice and not too big, not too small. Like we went to another buffet that had all you can eat lobster and like caviar and all that too. And it was so small and not as good quality.
Yeah, I feel like their lobster was overcooked, but this one was perfect.
And they were big.
Yeah. Also, our server was legit with, he was on top of things. My Diet Coke was filled every time I saw it.
And then, yeah, there was like this guy who was taking pictures with people and I didn't notice, but he was like sitting down with a selfie stick and he was recording like a food review. And then our friends noticed and they were like, who is this guy? He must be famous because everyone's taking pictures with him. And the whole time we were sitting behind his camera. So we're going to be in the back of his video.
And then we asked if he could collab with Melly, but
no, we didn't. But
we could have.
We asked the waiter who he was, and yeah, he's a food reviewer. He has 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, and yeah,
Did you follow him after the buffet?
I did because I want to know when his video gets uploaded. I want to see myself in the background because I didn't even notice, and you could probably see us all staring at the camera over and over.
It's kind of cool, like seeing someone actually do it in person. Because I'm not gonna lie, I like watching a lot of food reviewers. I love watching food videos in general, but definitely on YouTube, a lot of food reviewers.
He loves Strictly Dumpling, and he always plays that, especially for like Flash when we leave the house.
Yep. I love his takes on food. I love, especially when Strictly Dumpling comes to Vegas, I like seeing what he likes. If he's, checks out spots that me and Melly have been to or those new spots.
Yeah, I like him. I've been telling BJ he could do that, but
nah. Too health conscious.
Yeah, that would be a lot of eating.
I can definitely overeat.
But yeah, that buffet was a nice experience. It was all of the August Babies celebration, and we were with a bunch of our friends. But definitely wouldn't pay that price all the time,
It's a great, kind of one-time thing. Maybe something in the future, especially if you get like comp or discounted price, that'd be worth a little bit less.
If it was a special occasion, but not just like, oh, let's just get Sunday brunch at this place.
Yeah, it's like you can only eat so many lobster tails after, and then it starts getting tiring.
I'm satisfied with all you can eat sushi or Korean barbecue. I'm a simple girl.
Yeah, those are really bomb and a lot cheaper. But still, all in all, great experience, good time with friends. So glad we did it.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely check it out.
It's called Anthony's Prime Steak and Seafood.
Hopefully you're able to get a reservation because I think they're booked out for a while, right? We got lucky because one of our friends had a reservation for that day.
Yeah, they're only open on Sundays and they're booked, but you can call and see if anyone cancels. And if not, then, plan a date for next year.
So every time I'm at work, I always will meet one person where they have a conversation with me. And maybe I'm able to answer maybe a pretty in-depth question about something. And then they're like, wow, you know a lot, or you're very good at this. Why are you here? You're like, are you in school? Or they'll say, you should think about going back to school. And, most times I don't care as much because I'm just like, this person is always just kind of like never knows exactly what I do or the importance or what I, how I got to the position I'm at. But it always brings back not tough, like bad, tough, awkward, weird young memories of growing up in a Filipino family.
Yeah, I mentioned this before, but that's my pet peeve when someone does that to BJ. I mean, I don't have any experience like that as a child, but I know it's very common, stereotypical Filipino parent would want you to be a nurse, an engineer, a doctor, one of those things.
Yeah, like when I was younger, that was always kind of recommended to us. I grew up on Guam with my mom's side of the family. One of my mom's brothers is a very successful doctor. He's very smart. But when we were younger, he would be always the one kind of like telling us, yeah, you guys should, go into the medical field. And then I'm the oldest on my mom's side. So there was a lot of expectation, I feel like, just put on me just because of that. My parents were really cool. They were always very supportive. They weren't really ever pushy. They would be like, oh, yeah, you're so smart. You should, try to be a doctor or an attorney or something like that. I feel like you could do it because they definitely knew I was not good at math and would never, ever, ever be an engineer, even though my dad is a successful engineer and now my brother is one too. And it was also one where just kind of on my mom's side of the family, since I grew up with them, I talked to them more so than my dad's side. And then they were just kind of like pushy a little bit with it, or always like, oh, you should do this, you make so much money doing this, or your cousin's doing this, or blah blah blah, my friend's thing's doing this. And a lot of points in my life growing up, it just got so annoying because I felt like I had expectations I had to meet, but I was so good at other things too and no one cared about those. Like I was really good at sports, no one cared about that. So I just felt like I was always trying to prove something and try to impress people in my family. And it caused a lot of problems when I was younger. I just kept it to myself though. Not a lot of people know this about me. I never really talked about it when I was younger, but it was very difficult to go through. That's why when I meet people nowadays, I always tell them to pursue what they want to do.
Yeah, in the end, I mean, as long as you're doing something that you are happy doing, then that's really what matters. Because jobs nowadays aren't normal. Like someone could be playing video games and they could be making more than a doctor makes.
Yep. Or even like someone like just think, man, OnlyFans, come on. People who be making a couple K a day just with their feet pics. Let's be real. That's the time we live in now. I was very lucky because I still didn't give an F and I did what I wanted to do, and I got to do college how I wanted to do college. I got to learn things I wanted to learn. Got to be around people that were very supportive, with our friends who are still our friends now. And now I'm, in a job and career path that I enjoy doing, and I wake up every day that I love to do. But I do meet people who, especially ones who are Filipino, where they kind of don't like where they're at, but they're kind of stuck because they make a good amount of money. They went to school for it. But, every time I talk with them, just at my work, they're like, man, I'm like, oh, this, oh, that. I can't wait for this trip, So I feel kind of bad sometimes.
Yeah, I know someone who went the doctor path and she went to school for it, did all of that, and then she ended up not liking it and starting over. And that's 100% okay to start over too, because it's never too late to do something you love. You could be 60 and changing your mind. You see people who are older that go to college with younger kids. People can change their mind, and that's okay. You might think something is for you, and then you might find that something else is better. Yeah, for me, I really didn't have that issue. I mean, my parents weren't in that field either. We were more creative because my dad is like musically inclined. So me and my siblings, we all have like this creative trait about us. And yeah, for them, they were more like government jobs.
They really wanted you guys to be stable, like
yeah, they wanted us to be stable with benefits.
Yeah. Which I feel like is a good thing for, in all honesty, like I respect that. At least they were focused on not necessarily what you guys did, but hopefully what you guys did provided you things like that, like medical, stable income. That's reasonable versus like this person's a doctor, this person is a nurse, you have to do this or else, like, because I've luckily, like, that's not my family per se, but they were kind of definitely like egging you to that. But I've seen crazy families where they disown kids for choosing like a different path than what they've done, especially with these people who like their parents are like doctors or are engineers, and it kind of sucks. Your family is always supportive. They were supportive of me, and they still are. So I always appreciate that.
I always knew from like the get-go, like when I was young, that I was creative. I was the one who did well in art class. When people were making posters for their projects, I was making videos. Yeah, in late elementary school, middle school, I learned how to graphic design and do coding like HTML and CSS, thanks to Neopets and also MySpace. And then in high school, I went to a magnet school where my program area is media production. And then my concentration when I was a junior was broadcast journalism. So I did my school's morning announcements. I also joined journalism, so I was part of the newspaper. And then when I went to college, my major was journalism and media studies, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to do that. And then when I really had to start taking like my major classes, I was like asking people who did business marketing as a major, and they were just telling me like how they didn't like it and how it was more like analytics and math and all that.
Ew, math.
Yeah, no, I hate math. I ended up still staying with journalism and media studies because they had a concentration in integrated marketing communications, which
Pause really quick. Some of Melly's 400 classes that I was with her when she was doing, they were pretty awesome. So, I have a pseudo minor, not accredited by UNLV, but accredited by myself in integrated marketing communications. Thank you, Miss.
I can't say my major. I can't say my major without him saying that. Yeah, and those just came like easily to me. Like everyone would be stressed out in class, and then I would just, submit something and I would get an A. And I was really thriving in those classes, and that's how I knew, I'm where I'm supposed to be.
That's probably one of the main reasons I didn't want to go back to school, because I didn't want to be told what to study. Because that's kind of like the crappy part about school is, hey, here's your curriculum, and I want you to take these classes, and then maybe a third or half of them are like, BS classes and things like that, and you have to pay a lot of money for them. And I really don't. I have to look. I don't even remember my genetic classes or things that I had to quote unquote had to take, and pay money for. And then my freshman and part of my sophomore year, I was out of state, so I had to pay extra, whatever X amount of money. And luckily, though, towards the end, kind of like with Melly and her like upper division classes, my upper division classes for my major were pretty cool, and I got to take some cool electives. But now I get to choose what I want to learn and learn things that not only is good for myself and things I find interesting, but honestly help out a lot of people. And I like that fact. I wish I had a magnet program or something like that, similar to what Melly did Guam, because high school was just kind of like high school. It was cool, but I felt like I just did school or went to school and I feel like I just went to school for the sake of going to school. I didn't really like learn anything. I was just good at school. Like I was good at memorizing things. I was good at learning fast and taking tests. So I always did good. But I feel like I never really like learned anything. You know what I mean? Like it's just like I went to school. I wanted to get good grades to make my parents proud. I wanted to do good so I can get into a good school. Ended up going to UNLV, which I loved. If I didn't go to UNLV, I wouldn't have found you.
And I was almost not going to go to UNLV, so.
Yeah, but yeah, and well, things happen for a reason. Now we're doing this podcast. But yeah, going back to that, I don't know, man. Like, do you guys ever feel like that? Like, where kind of things you did when you were younger was just to, make someone else proud? Which, I'm happy I made my family proud, but I feel like those years I didn't really, like find myself. That's why, like, I consider Vegas such an integral part or a super important part of my life. Being in college was not only for the college education, but the experience itself. Meeting the people that I, like Melly and just all my good friends, and just kind of those interactions really kind of helped me grow as a person. That's why, like, I tell most people, even though I grew up on Guam, Vegas is like my home, because it really allowed me to find myself. And then, getting out of school, going through the workforce, and then contemplating going back to school, finding my current company now, and just being able to grow and just finding like true passion for what I do and being successful. I think I've come a long way since being younger and trying to impress people or trying to live up to someone else's expectations. And now just, continuing to be the best version of myself, getting better, being competitive with what I can do, and just being successful, and just meeting my own expectations and not caring too much about anyone else's, because I know what I'm doing is what I'm passionate about. And I feel like part of my work too, I get to help a lot of people.
Follow what you love to do.
Yeah, just continue to, do your best to follow your passion in whatever you can do. Obviously, financial commitments and things like that might hinder certain aspects of it, but hopefully at the end of the day, you can do majority of the things that make you happy, because that makes the world a better place.
Yeah, and don't listen to other people's opinions, because they don't matter. If you want to do OnlyFans, go off. As long as you don't harm anybody and you're still doing, morally right things, I think that's okay.
And I think we should respect people and what they do, because sometimes I feel like the opposite can be said, that you have someone where they do a job that you might not think is like very lucrative or things. Like I know like one of the managers of the sanitation, like the Republic service, and he's a really cool dude, really smart dude. And he started off kind of like just being a sanitation man. And, I remember I had like a quick conversation with him, and people always like put him down. But like, hey, he would always joke, he'd be like, hey, someone's got to clean the trash. He runs and supervises our side of town near my work. Super cool dude, and just, loves what he does. And, we have good conversations because he is always trying to, get the best out of his people that work under him and try to provide, the knowledge and just like passion for what they do, because it is something that is important.
Like, you don't know if this person who has this job is making more than you think they are. So
Yeah, plus at the end of the day, that doesn't really matter. It's not about the money in the pockets. It's about the content in their heart, soul, and brain. But like I said, if you can pursue your passions, definitely go for it. Like what Melly's doing right now. That was my story, and it's just very hard when you're under that kind of pressure and expectation, especially when it's really something you don't care about and not passionate about. Funny enough, I do enjoy the health, medical space, just not in that traditional sense, because I still study a lot when it comes to the medical field and understanding all of that, because it allows me to help, customers a lot better, and then just have a lot more knowledge and nuance with things they can kind of, bring to me, or even physicians who trust me enough to send clients over and I get to help them out. So weirdly enough, I still feel like I am kind of in that space, just in my own way.
so how did you get over those feelings of expectations? And I mean, how do you feel about it now?
To be honest, I still use a lot of it as like a lever. I use that as a chip on my shoulder. It is actually something from time to time I leverage a lot to help get me through like hard work weeks or finished products, or just kind of push through getting better. I don't think it's ever gonna go away, but I've come to terms with it better. Like, it's not something that you see before. It would make me really angry. Even when I was still at UNLV, I would just kind of think about that, and it'd make me really mad and angry, because I'm just like, man, I just want to prove it to them. I want to prove it to them that what I'm doing is what I want to do, and I'm going to be successful. And I still think, even though I am, to my eyes, successful and continue to be more successful, I use it a lot still as leverage, because some days you just need that extra adrenaline and that extra push. But I'm definitely not resentful or mad or petty when it comes to things like that. That's why it's like kind of my motivation now is to help people pursue greatness, but not make them, feel like they're anything less, right? They're not, I don't want them to feel like, oh, like, why are you doing that? What the hell? I'm like, hey, is that what you want to do? Like, when I talk to younger people, it's like, this is what you really want to do? Because if you really want to do this, find every way you can kind of like live the job before you actually pursue the job, or, live like if they want to go medical school or things like that, talk to doctors, get mentorships, listen to podcasts, especially nowadays, because there's so much good podcasts, YouTube videos. Like, you can really get a feel for a job more so now than you ever could. Like, I kind of wish we had this when we were younger, like, and even just in college, because sometimes you don't even know what a job is. And then now you're like, I had day in a life in YouTuber, or day in a life in a doctor, and it's like super in depth, so you can definitely get more of a grasp of it. It allows you to really be like, is this what I want to do? So I always kind of tell people that. Comment below if you want to see day in a life with Melly content creating. Comment below if you want to GoPro me at work. Probably not. Thank you guys so much for listening to us today. Hopefully our conversation today was insightful and just kind of,
you can relate to it, and
hopefully you can relate to
level.
it. And got your back.
Next week we're gonna have our first guest on the podcast.
It's gonna be a surprise.
Yeah, you're not gonna know who it is until we launch the episode.
Yep. Whoa.
We're really excited, and if you want to be a guest on the podcast, you totally can. We want to include you guys, and everyone's in different career fields, and everyone has different types of goals that they work on. And if you want to share, your experience, a story time, how you're doing something or whatnot, then yeah.
We're just like words of wisdom and things like that. Yep.
Join in. I mean, for now, you're going to have to join in through like Zoom or a phone call.
Eventually, we're going to have, that.
We're going to have multiple mics.
Yeah. The dealio. So you can find more on our social media platforms at Relationship Goals Podcast.
We hope you guys have a great week.
See you later. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.